Oh, what's on the docket for the show today, Travis? War crimes. Who would have thought? And guess what? It's us doing it. Now, shocking. I know, you're all shocked. Get ready for it. We've got special guest Negin Farsad today on The Foreign Report. Let's go. Welcome back to The Foreign Report, your weekly foreign policy show. It gives you the gory details of geopolitics with hopefully, oh God, Lord, hopefully, some laughs along the way. I'm Seena Ghaznavi, and Travis Irvine is here with us in the IRL studio, Columbia Journalism School grad. Yes. I'm your foreign policy zaddy, and please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Sign up for the newsletter. I want to introduce... I call her my older sister in comedy. Aww. She is the best.
Not that much older.
Not that much older.
Not
Go
ahead.
Too old. But when I started, she was doing stuff, and she brought me into shows and stuff. It was I've known her for a long time. She is an amazing, amazing comedian. She is host of Fake the Nation that you could see and hear on HeadGum. And she's also frequently the host of NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, as well as on Neil deGrasse Tyson's Star Talk. And you can see her on Henry Winkler's Hazardous History. That's on Hulu. I subscribe to Hulu. Let's go. Negin Farsad, welcome to the show.
Oh my God. Hello. Thanks so much for having me on. I feel like you guys are like a funny, cousin to Fake the Nation.
Yeah, we are.
And right, this episode's gonna drop in the Fake the Nation feed. That's how cousin relationship it is.
Yes.
And Seena is like an alum on my show, and I mean, we do Persian sandwiches.
Yeah, we do
a lot. And Travis, you are in the Persian sandwich.
Thank you. I'm the mayo. I'm the fun condiment at the table at the family reunion.
You're the must khiyar. It is interesting whenever I'm on your show, Negin, we do outnumber everyone else, and it is the only show where that happens. And so now here we are.
You outnumber me again. I'll show myself out.
Yeah, please do, as you should. And show yourself out of the Middle East as well, and West Asia.
Thank you.
Mr.
On this show, we call it West Asia.
We call it West Asia here because it's more specific. Because, again, we said, what is it the middle of? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, what is it the middle of? That's true.
Apparently,
what is it the middle of?
Yeah, and it's not east. Who's it east from?
It's the middle of the British Empire from back in the day. There was some guy that was like making up war plans, and he was like, "This is the Middle East," and that's how it just stuck.
And then China was like the Far East.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's like crazy. From what? And then we were like, you know what? We're doing West Asia. Mm-hmm. But then people are like, "Where's that?"
It's like, I guess I don't know either.
And then also you sort of like realize as you guys are saying West Asia, I then go into my memory bank of what is geography and feel lots of feelings of inadequacy because I'm like, wait, oh no, okay, right. And then I'm trying to like place it together, but I guess we are West Asia.
We are.
Listeners, if you didn't feel it in your heart, that's fine because neither did I.
Yeah, exactly. People are slowly getting used to it. I mean, once you bring up the what's it the middle of, your brain short circuits a little bit, and then you're like, what have I been doing this whole time? Negin, you're Iranian-American. I have been texting you whenever there is I would just call it loosely a flare-up or anything that spikes in Iran. You're on my list of people to check in with that are on my mind always. So I want to ask, and we've done this with other Iranians that have been on the show, of course, how are you? This year has been insane. How is your family in Iran? How are you holding up in general with everything that's been happening there?
It's interesting because it's interesting when you get, you sort of grow with a war, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how I feel like I'm maturing as this war matures. Because in the beginning, I was like a real wreck. And now I've just learned how to live with being a wreck. So I've gotten like better at it. So much of my family is there. And the interesting thing that has happened is that like it's hard to get any real details about what's going on because they are afraid to talk on the phone because their phones are maybe tapped. And so it's a lot of just like proof of life. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. And then you ask a specific question and they're like, you're like, are schools open or something, and they'll be like, everything's fine. We're fine. Right? And you're like, okay. So I feel like I know a whole lot of nothing from my actual family.
Yeah, but I'm happy to hear that they're doing well. I get a similar response of like, we hope everyone is going to be okay here. And then it's like a voice note. Like I know at least now that are back on Instagram, back on WhatsApp, there was that whole time period, when it was like nothing. And you're just...
Yeah.
I got one call from the phone, like through their switchboard. And then on the caller ID, I was here at the studio, it said Iran. And I was like, oh, Jesus, here we go. And it was like my cousin telling me that, she was okay. What about you?
Yeah, I got a call recently from my aunt. And it was crazy because my uncle passed away like 8 months ago, and she kept his phone going. So I got a call from his phone.
Oh, gosh.
Which I was like, I had heart palpitations because I was like, what's happening? Is someone calling me from the afterlife? And then she calls me, and I was just expecting some hard-hitting like stuff about what's going on. And instead, she was just like, I'm watching the World Cup, and one of the players looks like your husband. You know what I mean? And I was like... You know what? Thank God. I'm so glad that she had something. She was just doing something normal and fun, And it just, that actually, it was like the best phone call I've gotten from a war.
Definitely the Iranians on the ground, at least the ones I've talked to, are dealing with this leaps and bounds better than I am. Because they're like,
so good.
They're like, Seena, don't be worried. Bombs are dropping, but we're okay. And I'm like, what? What are you? I'm losing my mind over here.
Well, you probably have stories about this, like from your family about the Iran-Iraq war in the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be like, oh my God, do you remember? First, we were worried because maybe they bombed Mariam's house, but then we were playing a backgammon, and it was so fun. And I bet money, and you lost. And it's like they're telling me a story about a party that happened while some other friend was maybe being bombed, but they're laughing hysterically. So their level of resilience is really off the charts.
Yeah, it is. And this is like, my mom would always say she's not funny, but I'm like, you don't realize you are so funny just by virtue of like coming from escaping all of this stuff. You have tragedy plus timing, and that is comedy.
Yes,
you have it
totally.
For days.
Totally. And it's just funny because they're not like fully self-aware when they're like, your cousin, he got on a donkey from Tabriz to Istanbul. He was on a donkey. And you're like, wait, what? Like there's casual stories of escape that involve a donkey and like whatever. And they're like, but anyways, so he gets there and he forgot to pack pants, or something.
Yeah,
and you're like,
exactly.
What's this part of the story? What is the story here?
Yeah.
Is it a story about pants?
I feel like you skipped over the dramatic part of
Yeah.
So, another thing that's happened, I'm so happy you brought up of like, it's tough to hear what's going on or get real information. I feel like, I don't know, I'm sure you've gone through this as well, but like, especially coming out of January, we were trying to figure out, it's like this morbid search for how many people were killed in January. And then you have people online that are like, no, it was like 6 people and they were all IDF soldiers. And then there's other people that are like, it was 350,000 people. And you're like, there's nothing worse than not being able to know what to believe or anything. What has been your journey with that?
Yeah, that's a question actually about how many people have died that I feel like has really caused a rift in some families. Like people are arguing about this number. And the reality is no one knows the number for sure. It's, it could be a really large number. It could be just a large number. No one knows for certain. I did get some video from a cousin who managed to get some media while she was in Saudi Arabia. I don't really know specifically how this was all going. And she was showing me just kind of like aftermath street scenes where there was a lot of blood on the ground, where they were presumably like pulling bodies. And so, I mean, there's evidence of stuff. And the number of dead is just mystifying.
And as you have gone through this war, I don't know about you, but I have gone through this thing of, and you're a public, I should note, you also have a graduate degree in public policy. Is that right? Is that you have an
That's right.
master's? That's right. Very nice. Lawyer, master's degree. And even white man has journalism degree. That's good.
Yes, I'm happy to report
job,
my family is
Travis.
also surviving the war just fine. They're in Ohio. So, okay.
I have found a real conflict between what I personally want, like in my heart, what I want for the Iranian people and what I want for them, and what is good policy for the United States.
Oh,
And
yes.
do you have a similar conflict of where you find yourself, and how do you reconcile that? How do you figure that out?
Because I remember in the early days, I was getting a lot of like messages from Iranians that were like, do you know if Trump is going to do this? I don't know why they would ask me. Like, I have no actual direct contact with that guy. Also, why does it look like I would? You know what I mean? Why do you think I would? He sucks. But they would ask me, like, do you think he's going to come in because maybe he can save us? And I remember that feeling of like, in those very, very, very early days of like, maybe he could save them,
Oh my God,
you know?
same. Oh God.
Right? And then just like that delusional feeling, because we've grown up our entire lives with the desire for that regime to end. And so when you have that like pent up desire forever and ever and ever, you just are like, you start thinking like, maybe Trump could be a savior. And so that was a really weird feeling, because then I was just like, wait, what does that mean in terms of the United States? I had to like check myself a lot, because I do think, I think I'm an American citizen first. But I have so many people whose lives I'm concerned about there. And so it makes you have crazy thoughts, but I think that's normal. And I think even for my American friends who don't have any family in Iran, they'll say stuff like, man, like, I really do wish that regime would just be over. And like, what if we could do it? Like, it's a normal thought. And then you're like, but I don't want to lose any Americans in this process. And we have, and that sucks.
Yeah, and the conflict is so, and we've talked about this on the show, where what I feel is different than what me as a kid who grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania wants for America, and what's good for the people of Pittsburgh and what's good for the people of the United States. And it's just bad policy all around. I think it's so funny it's not funny, it's sad, but I had the exact same hope that you had at the beginning. We're like, maybe this guy is going to do it. And then it was like, sober up real fast. This is going to be bad. They think they could just drop bombs and it's going to happen. And to your point, remembering the Iran-Iraq War and the stories from that, Saddam Hussein sent like 20,000 plus strikes over Iran and it couldn't do anything. Nothing. And so this wasn't going to change anything.
I think I sent you probably a text message that was like, in those heady days of being unreasonable, where I was like, what would be fun is if we got a community of nations to support a United Nations action that would lead to a peaceful present. Like, I was saying stuff that like, we don't do that anymore. Like, you know what I mean? No one is like, let's join forces and have this be like an international community of nations that are like fully in support of regime change. Like, I was having some very Pollyanna thoughts.
I've brought that up here as well, because that feels like, what else are you going to do? Geographically, it's almost impossible to take the country over. It's like, you're not going to airstrike it. It's just, and then the thing is, you can't get a bunch of other countries to come on board, because the oils, that sweet, sweet oil, is too good. That sweet nectar, they can't get enough.
Delicious.
No one's gonna, you want to heat my home, or like, not heat my home and try to like help these people I've never met before? No, they're gonna heat their homes with that oil. You know what I mean? The other thing I do want to bring up is something you have helped me realize. Years ago, I was actually one of these Iranians that was pro-sanctions. And I remember even being on your show, and you were like, they don't work. And I was like, but they're, and I felt Like it was a behavior changing thing. And I just want to say here publicly, very wrong. Very wrong. They worked for maybe like 10 minutes, and then it was like, no, we're just gonna end run around all of these. And I've learned so much about in the last year how Iran circumnavigates and gets around all of the sanctions, and it really does very little. In fact, it probably entrenches them and makes them more powerful in the global economy, really, at the end of the day, and just makes it worse for the Iranians on the ground. So thank you for opening my eyes. I think that was like 3 years ago.
So happy to do it. Yeah, it's also like, it's weird to create so much poverty, because then you're also, creating strange bedfellows,
Yes.
So either there's circumnavigation or it does create, like weird amounts of inflation and poverty, whatever else. It like disrupts the economy in certain ways. And then the people are left to like not know who to support, which is then, and again, it's like we sort of saw in the Iran-Iraq war, an outside invading force coming in and then forcing people to side with a government that sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like this thing keeps happening.
Yeah, it's almost like we're going insane. And speaking of going insane, let's talk about what's insanely happening over the last I don't even know, week, several days. On Saturday, Deputy in Iran Foreign Minister Gharibabadi, I hope I pronounced that right, and if I didn't, I don't care. Fuck that guy.
Sounds right.
He made it official. The ceasefire is a wrap. He said, the U.S. has violated and suspended all its commitments within the framework of the Islamabad MOU. We have also suspended our commitments. We are not implementing them, and we are busy defending our country. Yeah, no shit, you're busy defending. I get that. And so we talked about this last week, that the ceasefire is over. Negin, when you heard about the ceasefire and that there was going to be the 60-day break or pause, and we were going to negotiate some more, what did you think was going to happen? He says knowingly.
I mean, I was just like, I am so ready to stop dealing with, like, to stop thinking about this. Like, let this ceasefire be the thing. And I also just thought, guys, you made a mistake getting in there. Let this be the way you get out of it.
Yeah.
Just like everyone shut the up, and then we'll ride this out, and then it'll be over. I don't know.
It was, I think on this show we were like, we were gonna do a breakdown. I was like, I don't think this is not gonna.
It just felt flimsy. Like it felt like a Post-it notes worth of like information that was supposed to like guide a bunch of nations. Israel had nothing to do with it, even though Israel's like actively involved in the hostility. Like it just was like, what? It felt so weak.
Exactly. Now that we know, like, both of them signed a thing because they did it in like different rooms or whatever. Like it was like the worst game of telephone. JD Vance was like napping back and forth. I mean, he was like, this is not, they both agreed on completely different things. So that's really, I think, what ended up happening. I also think like both sides wanted like the other to force them to break the deal so that they could blame the other person.
Side.
Like,
yeah.
No one really wanted this thing to happen.
No.
And so we've seen recently that they've been trading wars, and then the United States does its conventional warfare. They're sending out all these, fighter jets, the F-35s, and they've done continuous nightly strikes, I think for going on 10 nights now. That now, though, they are targeting civilian infrastructures, facilities, tunnels, rail lines, and a desalination plant has been hit. All in the efforts of like trying to force the Iranians to negotiate. But really what the Iranians are doing is, because they can't fight conventionally, as we know, they fight asymmetrically. And they don't have a bunch of F-16s or F-35s or anything like that. Sorry. You put it on Do Not Disturb, and then you have your partner is allowed to get through on the Do Not Disturb.
Oh, that's right.
So sorry about that, folks. I'm doing pickup today, so I need to know where to go.
But back to war crimes.
Back to war crimes. But the Iranians, though, They're like, oh, you hit the desalination plant. Oh, nice. We're going to hit a desalination plant. It's crazy. They took a Shahed drone, sent it to an oil facility and a desalination plant in Kuwait, which is, again, their move to kind of like go after the regional partners. And 90% of the drinking water of Kuwait comes from the sea, and it goes through that desalination plant.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then you had Iranian missiles that got intercepted over Jordan, but some did get through, and now we have multiple casualties from the U.S. side of things. And then the U.S. struck this desalination plant in Jask, and I'm sure you've heard about the water crisis in Tehran, but there is now going to be a water crisis in that region as well, and this cuts off 10,000 people across 20 villages from water. And they're about to experience extreme heat in this time of year. And so this is just, don't worry, it gets worse.
Oh, good.
War crimes
Oh,
on
good.
both
Okay,
sides.
there's more.
So everyone's committing war crimes. Was that in the MOU?
Okay.
Did they say, was there a thing in there that we missed that said, if you commit war crimes, we commit war crimes?
I think that would have been the only thing they both agreed on. I think that would have been the only thing that would have been like, yes, I like it. Good idea. A great idea. Negin, here's the thing. Speaking of war crimes, right? We now have these guys dead in Jordan from this drop. There was another person who died trying to disable a drone that was downed in northern Iraq. And so we have, more than 400 wounded since this thing. There's, 50,000 troops in the region now. No boots on the ground. I don't know how we define that. Pretty sure there's boots on the ground. There are boots, and they are on the ground. When we talk about a war crime, if a war crime happens and there's no one there to enforce it, does it really exist?
Does it really? Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing with like the community of nations. Like, it's if you're not a member of the ICJ, if you're not who cares? I mean, it does. This is the problem. Like, everyone needs to agree to a thing.
And how do we get that agreement, though? That's the fundamental issue that I keep seeing. I saw some general in Libya just get put up on indictment and tried at the ICC. And that was like a clear-cut case. They had a laundry list of absolute horrific war crimes that this guy did. But that's like Libya, sure, we got that. I mean, what about getting other countries on board? And the thing that I find frustrating from a lot of people on the left is just they say it's against international law. And I'm like, homie, what international law? So I don't know what we're supposed to do from here other than just, pace around a podcast studio and just scream about it. I mean, this is where we kind of net out, and so frustrating here. Please go ahead.
No, it's so frustrating because also I feel like as, the country with like the most power, we could easily use that to leverage other countries to really be signatories and to follow international law. Like, we actually have the power to do that, but we're also not doing international law. So then it's like the big dog isn't doing it, then no one is going to do it.
Exactly right. So now that we have Khamenei Jr. He's more hardlined than, very potentially than any of his predecessors. Definitely more hardline than his dad, and I think more hardline than Khomeini. And then you've got Pete Hegseth that believes this is a holy war, that he's going to bring about the actual second coming, this whole thing.
Yeah, he just thinks Muslims are low T, I think is what.
That's what it was. Not real men.
That's right.
Got it.
I mean, have you seen the chest hair?
Yeah,
my
please.
buddy, come on.
Yo, your chest hair beats Pete Hegseth's chest hair any day.
He's got no chest hair.
Any
Are you
day.
kidding me?
Just a bunch of tattoos.
That's it.
Suspicious tattoos.
Suspicious tattoos. Now that we're getting on the tattoo thing, I will never just say, I didn't know that was a bad tattoo. I'm not doing that. Not literally never saying that ever again for the rest of my life. I'm going to say that is a bad tattoo.
That's a bad tattoo.
I may not have seen it.
That's a bad tattoo.
It may have been in the Indiana Jones movies and I should have noticed it, but I didn't know. Anyways, can you give me what's your prediction? What do you feel? What's your head and what's your heart tell you about what is going to happen over the next few months here?
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
No pressure.
I know.
I feel like every day I wake up with a different prediction. I just feel like he's gonna take the loss, spin it as a win, and it should happen probably in September because of the election season. Maybe that's maybe that's our October surprise or whatever. And he's gonna make it seem like he did a thing, but he didn't. He's gonna like end up giving more money than Obama did. He's going to end up making more concessions than Obama ever did with the nuclear agreement. It's going to be really embarrassing, but there's going to be a lot of spinnings for a last minute, try to like win the elections.
I tend to agree mostly. I think before that, it's going to get much worse for us economically because I think the Houthis are going to close the Bab el Mandab Strait on the west side of Saudi Arabia. I think that's going to happen. That's going to lock everything down. I think we're going to have a lot worse stuff happen. And then, because both sides, the Iranians, I don't know what Israel is just like, can we please start this war? We just get us in. We'll bomb anybody at this point. They're like, they're like doing everything they can to just continuously bomb. So they don't care. So I kind of just view them as like this wild card that everyone has to deal with. I don't know how you handle that in your brain because it's so insane to me that we got no handle on it.
Yeah. And that's why every time I try and make it a prediction, it's like it's easier to make a prediction when you pretend like Israel doesn't exist as like a player, And so you're like, oh yeah, I can see how this plays out. But then once you bring it up, you're like, oh yeah, no, then they're the wild card, and I have no idea. Then I take it all back. I don't know.
It is Charlie from
the Charlie Day. That's exactly what I was
but
thinking.
You don't want him in your friend group,
right?
From
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Israel's Charlie Day.
Yeah, the worst friend. Please get him in.
Wild card.
Yeah. All right. Well,
you just don't know what he's gonna do at the party.
Yeah, really. He's gonna mess it up. Anyways, let's take a break. When we come back, Negin, I promise, no war crimes. It is gonna be a segment. It's gonna be fun. I am excited for it because fans have been telling us to cover this specific person for a while, and we're gonna do it. This is the Foreign Report. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Ghaznavi, Travis Irvine, Negin Farsad in the virtual studio. Thank you so much for being here.
So excited to be here.
We're going to get into some fun stories now. One of the things we've talked about is Keir Starmer stepping down in the UK and Andy Burnham coming in. And he's now accepted the nomination from His Majesty.
Wow. We're going to get no comments on your British accent. This is great. Good thing Seena doesn't read the comments.
Good thing I don't read the comments. Yeah, I do need to work on that. I have had English
you
friends.
got it mostly right. I'm
sorry, you don't have a dialect coach the way all podcasters do?
Just Henry Zabrowski tells us how
weird.
to do accents from other places, and it's never correct.
All right, so I want to start with just a clip from Andy Burnham, and just, I've watched Keir Starmer talk a lot at this point since he was in, and then, we won't play anything because you'll fall asleep, but watch this guy talk. It is, what a breath of fresh air.
I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. We will make this moment a circuit breaker for Britain, bringing forward the biggest changes in the last 40 years. A new political model and a new economic model. It's about putting the right values and the right standards at the heart of government. I will put the care of people at the heart of everything I do.
Okay, that was incredible.
Yeah.
That was exactly what you want a prime minister to sound like. Negin, what do you think?
Yeah, you just want to throw on a clip of that guy and then take a nice nap. That was great.
It's like so nice.
So nice. The stability of a voice that I yearn for. It sounds like he has nothing further to say. He's not going to try and give someone a nickname. He actually feels actively anti-nickname.
Yeah, it was so. I was like, wow. He's saying tangible things. He's saying very bold things. Like he really wants to get after. He didn't need this job for sure. He was a very popular mayor. And his claims are big. He said, the change today is the most significant change moment in our politics for 40 years. It will take us to a country where life is more affordable and all people and places are lifted from where they are now.
Wow.
So this is like this business-friendly socialism-ish
Yeah,
policies.
business-friendly socialism.
Yeah, so they always have that happen. But this is what I think is so awesome about what's happening in the UK. And then on the other side, what I also think is amazing is what's happening to Nigel Farage. And when we talked about him last time, Negin, I forgot, and I learned later that when he stepped down because he had this big corruption thing that happened with him, he's going to stand for election again. So I thought he was leaving. And then right after the show, I read it. I was like, oh, God, he's actually triggering an election, which is he's making to make the people spend even more money. So he's going to run for election again. And then his opponent is a guy named Count Binface. And so let me play.
The winner?
Count Binface. What a hero this guy is. And here's a little clip. This is right from countbinface.com. There's a little bit of meandering, so if you can watch on video for the first minute, please do, because it is funny. It is right out of a comedy is nice when you enter a frame. There's a little comedy, you know what I mean? This is beautiful here.
Oh my goodness.
Sky News reporter sees him.
He loves it already.
A man with a bin on his head.
A man with a bin.
And it's not the Tory candidate.
Wow.
It's like something out of Star Wars.
And so in the Sky News studio, they're like, talk to him.
Anyway, I better.
To talk to him,
no, I'm going to hand you back to.
This guy desperately trying to get out of this.
He doesn't want to do it.
Oh, right. Okay.
You want to talk to me?
Yeah, go on then.
Go on then.
Right.
Back to the nation.
Who are you?
My name. What kind of journalist is this? You don't know? Have a look.
I've got my list here.
Burnham.
No, I realise that. Oh, you're Count Binface, yeah?
There you go. You did go to journalism school. Excellent. Yes, I.
A long time ago.
I beg your pardon.
I said a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh well, I wouldn't have known.
Why,
You're 20.
why are you standing in this election? Just a stunt?
It's A, because it's happening. B, I was at a loose end. C, because I believe elected mayors should serve out their terms before they're eligible to stand for parliament.
Oh, you've made a sensible serious political point there.
Well, no, you're supposed to be impartial, mate. So let me carry on. I'm going to replace the traffic lights on Liverpool Road. I'll price cap Wigan kebabs at £2. I'll make cyclists who disobey the highway code have to ride unicycles instead. And I will turn HS2 into FFS1 and reroute it.
Not going to swear, are you?
No, I'm perfect. Although we are past the watershed, but don't worry.
No. We don't want you swearing, please.
I promise I won't. I'm a good boy. And but I'm going to reroute it to rail executives' homes. I'm going to build at least one affordable house. I mean, I could go on. What's he's going to do?
Oh, he said lots he's going to do, and he changes his mind from time to time. But anyway, are you going to save your deposit? Probably not.
No, in a word. But if I could beat the Tories or the Lib Dems, that would be quite funny.
Yeah, I suppose they wouldn't find it very funny, though, would they? How many votes do you think you're going to get?
Well, I'd be happy with one.
Okay, all right. Well, honestly, if I could vote, I would absolutely vote for him.
Yeah, still better than Nigel Farage.
Oh my God, it's
He mentioned
amazing.
something about kebab. I also just want to point out on his official policy platform, he also wants to cap the price of croissants at $1 and £1 10p, and he also wants to nationalize Adele, which I feel like is an issue that not enough people are talking about.
I can support that. I think that's amazing.
I can support that.
And not enough people are honest enough, and they'll say, we're going to build at least one affordable
At least
house.
one.
At least one.
Unicycles, love it. Yeah.
I think this is such a breath of fresh air that the comedic candidate, Nigel Farage, is going up against an actual comedy candidate.
Yeah. That's a good point. One of these candidates is ridiculous, and the other is Count Binface.
Yeah. One's a joke, the other's great at jokes, and so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think, obviously, he's not going to win, but he is going to poll. He's going to get enough nominations to run, And I don't know if anyone's going to run against him. So maybe our UK listeners can also help us out again and let us know what else is going to happen with Count Binface. And man, I mean,
if he were to crazily win, does he take off the bin and do we, you know what I mean?
He's got to do the character the whole time.
That's a lot.
Because that's a very claustrophobic outfit for public office.
I don't know. In
You know what I
England,
mean?
they're
You're
used
like
to that,
in
you
the
know?
public eye.
Yeah.
They're stuffy. They are stuffy people.
He just reminds me of like a knight, but like a fun knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a Monty Python.
Like a Monty Python character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think would do well.
Extremely well.
By the way, he wants to tie all government ministers' pay, including the mayor's, to that of nurses for the next 100 years. I can get on board with that.
I love this guy. This is what happens.
Yeah.
And you know what? If Trump said these things, they'd be like, genius.
Right.
Sign him up.
Right.
He supports the nurses. But no.
I mean, Zelensky was a comedian before he was in charge of
war
Ukraine.
president.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, get Count Binface in there.
Why not? What else? This timeline's so insane. Like, just do it. I mean,
Just do
Nigel
it.
Farage is a joke. He is an actual joke. So
Yes.
it's like, you can't get more absurd than what we're already living in. At least, honestly, this man is more grounded. I don't even know what gender this man is, but they are more ground. Count Binface is more grounded. I guess he's a man because it's count. It would be Countess.
Yeah.
His pronouns are B Ben.
I don't want to misgender Binface. Is what I'm trying to say.
Not. Of course
Okay. Binface. Anyways.
But also, can I ask for all of the UK to like work on this like triggering an election thing? I get like heart palpitations every time they're like, and this act has now triggered an election. I'm like, do you guys not know? Is it just like this sudden thing that happened? Like, do you know what I mean? This is a part of the parliamentary system that I've never understood.
I agree. We try to wrap our brains around it as well, but they just have moves that they make and then snap elect. I don't want elections to snap. I don't think that's what an election should do. It's the last. They should be, mildly slow. I do like they have a window where the advertising is limited. Here it is an entire, like it is a portion, it's a cottage industry. Yeah, it's endless. But like over there, they're like, they have a little bit of tastefulness. I do like, and I'm sure you must enjoy this as well, that they scream in Parliament. We don't do any of that here. Do you appreciate that as much as I do?
Do you feel like if we screamed in Congress more, that maybe the entire country would be more civil?
I honestly think so. Mm-hmm. Because right now, the amount of resentment that's built up every time a senator looks across the aisle is like, my gentle friend from the other side.
Right.
And you're like, no, you're not gentle. You're not friends. You hate each other. You just called him like a war criminal. Like, what are we doing? No, scream at each other. You are our conduit you are our represent my rage. That's what I want. And just get it out. And then we can actually chill with each other. Do you think that as well or no?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there is something. I mean, not that like the UK is doing that great. I mean, they did Brexit. They are experiencing like a similar housing crisis, a similar economic downturn. I mean, but I do feel like it's getting it out of your system is just good for you in general.
Yeah, and I think the Brexit, by the way, crashed the illusion that the English accent is smart. And after Brexit, I was like, oh, that ruined it for me. Now I can't even have my home assistant be British because now I'm like, you voted to leave.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are, Google. Sorry.
A friend of mine is a journalist at the BBC, which is a little friend brag for you guys. And it's not a big deal. Like, I have some friends. And she was saying after Brexit, she was just like, for the next 10 years, we're going to have to talk about Brexit. And then I saw her. Thank you. That's my British accent. I saw her recently.
That's so much better than mine.
Thank you so much. And then and she's like now upped it to like, no, like another 10 years. Like it just never ends. The aftermath, the after effects of that thing continues, to plague them.
Right. And Nigel Farage was the guy who led that whole Brexit movement.
The thing that they didn't do for Brexit, I feel like, is they didn't just say, like, the Remain people should have been like, our food sucks. What are you going to do? We need to be able to travel to Europe to get good food.
Yeah.
Okay? Our food sucks here. We
Yeah.
only got breakfast. That's the only thing we do well.
Ugh, I love a British breakfast.
Yeah. Like, that's it. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
it's like
the same thing in New
it's
York
like
City.
literally a heart attack. A British breakfast is 100% just a heart attack.
It feels great,
I
though.
mean, it's the
love an
crazy.
English
It's so delicious. I lived there for 6 months, and
that's why. That's
another
why the
humble
accent's
brag.
so
that's
good.
right. Sorry.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
And
do
she's
have
got
a
a
passport.
friend who
Thank
works
you.
for the BBC. Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Oh, jeez, look at that.
But I've never been less healthy than when I lived in London for 6 months. It was wild
hard.
how unhealthy I became.
Absolutely. And, I don't know. Same thing, by the way, same thing in New York City when people complain about Mamdani and then they're going to push out all the millionaires and billionaires. Where are those people going to eat? Where are you going to go sit at a Michelin-starred restaurant? Sorry. It's not in Fort Lauderdale. Okay?
No.
Okay, I don't care what taxes you're not paying in Reno. Okay? You're not going to eat anything good.
It's true.
Reno.
I'll go to the grave on
Go to
that
Reno,
one. And by the
Des.
way, I'm continuing to be right about that. They're not leaving. Is that right? You're in New York City.
They're not leaving.
They're not leaving.
They're not
They just got to
leaving.
sell
They
the
didn't
second
leave.
apartment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no.
P.S. Like New York is having like a lovely renaissance right now. So quite the opposite.
Let's talk about, you want to talk about the World Cup and then we can get going?
Yeah. You want to recap the World Cup?
We had a little recap. Did you get to watch it with your family, Negin?
No, I was like in the room and then I was like on the
Right.
streets. I didn't really.
We
But I
tried
know that it happened.
We tried to go to like an outdoor viewing thing in
For the
Burbank
final.
for the final.
The finals this weekend.
And I brought my toddlers, our soon to be 3 and 5 year old, and I got us tickets. It was like a whole thing. I got us all geared up. We were gonna be there for a while. I got us in the car. We got over there. 95 degrees, no tent, no coverage.
Oh, no shade.
No shade.
The only shade was that was being thrown by the Argentinian soccer team.
So yeah, Travis, this was crazy.
Boom.
The Argentine. First of all, tell me, why does everyone hate Argentina?
This is what is so crazy because, Negin, I'm a big soccer nerd.
Okay.
And I came in thinking like, oh, Messi's the best. This is going to be great. I also did not know that only 8 countries have ever won the World Cup ever in 100 years. It's about to be the 100th anniversary.
What? Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
the first World Cup was 1930. And since then, only 8 countries have won. And between Spain and Argentina, they both already won a World Cup. So the streak continues. Only 8 countries are good at soccer. But I did not know this, but Argentina, a bunch of punks. And you saw it, I don't know, these clips. They didn't show any of it on TV on Sunday for the final. But apparently after the game, Argentinian players were like tackling Spanish players who were like running on the field to celebrate. Argentinian teams, including Messi, all turned their backs on Spain when they were getting the trophy. I mean, did you see any of this, Negin? Was this in your algorithm? Is your algorithm as soccer specific as mine is?
This was not in my algorithm at all, though I did hear a lot just from like the chatter of friends that Argentinian team plays dirty, which I
Yes.
didn't realize because I thought Messi was sort of like a god among men or whatever. And I just didn't realize that he presided over a team that is known to play dirty. And so, yeah, it kind of changed my entire perception of that team.
Same. There was a clip that surfaced in my algorithm that I, again, did not see, but one of the Argentinian players got a red card, deservedly. And then they did this zoom out clip and they show that when he got the second yellow, which is then a red card, another one of his players just fell to the ground away from the play. So then Messi could go to the ref and point at the player who was down and say, well, hey, you've got to review that. And so they created this whole almost like a dark arts to the referee to try to make him have to call back the red card where they have to look at the TV to see what happened to the guy who fell down, but he just fell down.
Yeah, I saw that too. He just randomly fell down.
When he saw his fellow player get the red card.
What's the point of that?
The point is to go down to make it seem like something else might have happened off the play. So then the VAR referee's got to go review it. And so it's literally like dark arts type stuff.
But
and
if you VAR that thing and review it,
you would see he just fell down. But still, it's
So
a
you're
delay.
just
And it
I
just
know.
causes delay and doubt.
It's funny how much of the game is wrapped up in this kind of like commedia dell'arte, like performance art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I'm consistently shocked by that.
the Chevy Chase pratfalls are chef's kiss from these guys.
Love it.
They the flips they do,
Right.
the pain, the agony.
Oh, my ankle.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like my toddler when he's like, Dada, oh, I need a Band-Aid.
See, and that's why you got to get them into soccer again for the next World Cup.
I recently, you have a kid as well, but like I had this, I don't know if your kid does the whole I need a Band-Aid thing, but I did one with my youngest, and he always asked for a Band-Aid, and it was like late at night, and he came, he was like, I need a Band-Aid, and I just like grabbed one, and it was one of those big patch ones, and he was like, on my stomach, and I put it on his stomach, and I tell you what, getting that off was not a pleasant experience the next day. He was not happy about that. But I think he learned his Band-Aid lesson now. Yes. He hasn't asked for one for a while.
Yeah, teach him young. That's how you do it.
That's what they should have done with the Argentinian players. Like, go over there with like a really big Band-Aid.
Oh, you got a boo-boo?
And then just rip it off.
Rip it off. Your tattoo came off with that. Yeah. Sorry.
Also, how about those tattoos? We
Major
need neck tattoos.
Major tattoos.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, it's everyone's favorite segment, the JD Vance Corner. All right. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. Travis Irvine, the incredible Negin Farsad is in the virtual studio with us. Please make sure you check out Fake the Nation. If you're listening to Fake the Nation right now, you are already checking it out. So I will say check out the Foreign Report as well, because you're hearing all of these things at the same time. And make sure you check her out on Henry Winkler's Hazardous History, now streaming on Hulu. All right, let's get to it. It is everyone's favorite.
Give him a chance, it's JD Vance. No, wait, he sucks.
Club remix, ladies and gentlemen. Club remix, ladies and gentlemen. Negin, thank you for being here again. My sister actually loves you on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Yes.
And so she'll be very excited that you're
nice.
on our show. This is the only other show she listens to, I am told.
We got 100%.
Please
100%
tell
of
her.
my sisters, yes.
Please tell her like I'm a bitch in real life.
Oh, got it. All right. Well, you just told her yourself. And speaking of bitches in real life, we have a segment here. This is how we end every show, where over the last year, we've realized that JD Vance at least was at one point very involved in foreign policy with this administration. So we started just doing a whole dedicated segment to him.
It just started with one episode, Negin. Just
Literally.
one segment, and then the next week happened. We were like, oh yeah, he did it again. And then he killed the Pope. And then it was just like, oh, we're doing this every week now.
And here we are, over a year later, and we're still doing it, still talking about JD at the end of every episode. But this is fun because JD Vance did a 3-hour interview with the king of the manosphere, and we are, by the way, the #1 foreign policy podcast in the manosphere. So welcome to the manosphere.
Welcome.
Where Joe Rogan is king, and JD Vance went on the King's podcast.
That's so good.
For 3 hours. And we did an episode a couple weeks ago. It was like the best of the JD Vance corner, which is, I guess, just the worst of JD Vance. Because if the best is the worst, and it's still the worst. So we did a whole hour of JD Vance, and it was too much for our audience.
Yeah, people were traumatized.
So 3 hours would be insane to do to our audience.
Yeah.
So I have grabbed the worst of the worst clips from the JD Vance interview on Joe Rogan. It is bonkers, folks. It is bonkers. It's like, there are some fun parts where like JD talks about getting bricked up every time he saw Joe Biden eat ice cream.
Oh, God.
I've skipped that part.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about anything that gets JD Vance bricked up.
Nope.
No, not here, not in the manosphere. But man, there were some bonkers clips in here. Let's try some of these. He talks about Iran. He talks about Epstein. He talks about Israel. And then it kind of all merges together.
Which one do you want to do? The first one?
Let's do the first one first.
Okay.
And then we'll see. We can, I mean, honestly, what we do, Negin, is we play it until we get sick of it.
So we can't do it anymore.
The president keeps saying that a deal's been reached, negotiations have been successful, and then it all falls apart and we start bombing them again.
Yeah, so how long do we have here? Because this is
We
a
got
long
as much
conversation.
time as you need.
3 hours.
It's the Joe Rogan show.
There's
Explain
no-
a couple
Come on.
things in the background so you sort of fully appreciate people fully appreciate what's going on here. So number one, it's a bit of a simplification, but you have two elements within the Iranian system.
All right, I'm sick of it already. Turn it off. I'm sick of it already.
It's awful.
But I do want to point out that this is important, Negin, and maybe you've seen this as well. There are fractures in the MAGA coalition over this whole Iran debacle. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, even with the administration, JD is supposed to be the guy who's like, I'm going to Pakistan to get a deal. And then Rubio's working on another thing. And then Kushner and Witkoff are talking to Israel and making their own like deals where they get rich off this entire thing. So Joe Rogan, I would say, because of his question, is pissed about this entire thing. He represents one faction of MAGA, and he's going after JD. What do you think, Negin? Fractures in the MAGA coalition?
Well, I mean, it's actually like the most fun when there are fractures in the MAGA coalition.
Yeah.
Just like to hear them talking shit. Like when Tucker Carlson was out there talking about like what a huge mistake Iran was, I was like, this is like Real Housewives level entertaining. And Candace, what's her face? Owens.
Oh, Candace Owens.
Was out there. And so, I mean, we've gotten some of the like juicier figures out there, like just really slamming their former daddy on Iran. And so I feel like that's been really great. I also feel like no amount of word salad from JD Vance can prove that he like loves this war. You know what I mean? He speaks in so many directions when it comes to Iran, and he has to really carry it, you know? He has to really wear it and like sort of be proud, but at the same time somehow signal to people that he's a hostage. It's just such an interesting like tightrope walk.
I think we've also talked about a little bit here that we think Trump enjoys
torturing JD.
Yeah, making him wear this.
He said as much where he's like, well, if it goes wrong, I'm blaming JD.
And this is honestly funny. I just can't help but not laugh at like Trump making JD own this.
Own all of it.
That he did.
Yes.
He did it. JD's one thing was, I don't want to do any sort of war of any kind. Trump's like, JD's idea over here. What an idiot.
Iran was all JD's idea. That's actually a great point. Let's play the second clip too, because there's another big thing that MAGA really cared about when Trump was running for office again, and that was the Epstein files.
Right.
And Joe Rogan went in, and again, get to blame JD on this one. JD, how you going to own up to this one? Let's talk about the Epstein files real quick.
I want to say we mishandled the Epstein release. We did, especially the communications of it.
What do you think should have been done?
I think at the very beginning, and like obviously it takes a little time to review the stuff, to find the stuff, to redact things where you have victims and so forth. But we should have just done it as quickly as possible.
But some of the stuff that was redacted, some of the names that were redacted weren't victims.
So I've looked into this, and
I didn't look hard.
My understanding of this, having looked at a lot of this, but not all of it.
All right, I'm done.
I'm done.
I've had it. You see, though. You see what's happening.
Travis, your tolerance level today is extremely low. I love it.
Well, you know, all the talk about war crimes makes me a little on edge when we get to the JD part. Negin, what do you think? Epstein files, again, it was a huge thing in terms of MAGA world. And again, like you just pointed out, JD's got to both own it and then also explain it. What do we got here?
So the timing of all of this is interesting because I do feel like this moment of recognition didn't get as much news. It just didn't get it. I don't feel like it's in the spotlight, or I don't know, maybe I'm not like paying attention enough, but like I was glad to see you guys talk about it because they're doing the thing of like, okay, there's the World Cup, and then there's also the war with Iran, and then there's also whatever ICE is doing, and there's like so many little things that they can let out these nuggets to say that they've let them out or that they're reasonable, or that, you know, there's tape on it, but like not have very many people react because they've just, like we heard from Bannon years ago, they flood the zone. And so I feel like this is a huge admission on the Epstein files. I mean, it's an admission that it was handled poorly, but it's not a like, and now we will rectify it, right? Like, it's not one of those.
They don't seem to be, it's clean up in aisle 5, but also we'll get to it later, I guess.
I think whenever you don't handle an investigation, there should be some investigation into why. There should be some sort of punishment and something should happen. Someone should get fired. Nothing has happened. Literally nothing, right?
No.
No one's gotten fired. I think
Pam Bondi left.
Yeah.
But that was it. And they seem to be going after, I mean, even later in that clip, that's what JD says is, well, Pam shouldn't have gone out there with the files and done the whole performative, So that's the thing. They seem to find a way to blame it on another woman in the administration at the end of the day, which is so bonkers, which is very manosphere. Last clip, just real quick. I just want to throw this out there. This is, again, because throughout they link Iran talk to Israel, they link Epstein talk to Israel, and then finally, JD says that Israel may or may not be attacking the peace process on purpose, but more importantly, you guys, they're attacking him. Let's see what he has to say.
I never thought this would happen.
In this very discreet, extremely well-funded campaign to try to derail the negotiation and try to derail the deal. And, there's this Time article that came out yesterday. A friend sent it to me. It's like worth reading.
Lies, has no friends.
Because it lists a bunch of people who have quite literally been paid by a former Trump campaign person who was himself paid by certain elements within the Israeli government. And those people are attacking me viciously for quite literally trying to accomplish the negotiation objective that the president set for the country. So
what is their position? Like, they're attacking you?
That
how?
he sucks.
Oh, it's social media posts. It's they're leaking to reporters.
They're
attacking me
foreign policy podcasts are mean
we should
to
not
me.
be negotiating with Iran. We should just keep the military campaign going indefinitely.
All right, cut him off.
Okay, yeah.
Do you see what's happening here?
Did he just really say mean comments?
Yeah.
Mean comments? Israeli mean comments?
Israel is paying for mean comments about JD, which is an exciting time for us to announce the sponsors of our show here. New sponsor, the Mossad, everybody.
Thank you. You all thought it was happening before, but we finally closed the deal.
We finally closed the deal. After a year of making fun of this guy, we finally get paid to do it. Just imagine like Bibi Netanyahu getting a call, be like, hey, Bibi, it's me, your cousin Marvin Netanyahu. You know that new anti-JD Vance sound you've been looking for? Get a load of this. And it's just Seena talking.
Yeah, I don't know. We do this for free. I don't know. He's a softie. What do you think? What do you think of his chances? Do you think he's going to run for president again?
Yeah, 2028. What do you got?
Guys, this is the thing. I mean, I'm very excited about the deep bench of Democrats that will be running, and obviously that's where my heart will be. But I'm so excited to watch the super weird bench of Republicans running in 2028 because if JD Vance is the clear front runner or whatever, what a nightmare. You know what I mean? He's so he's so unlikable. And I just want to say, just out of like my deep respect and devotion to Seena and the Foreign Report, I tried to actually listen to the entire episode of JD Vance on Joe Rogan. But I got through like 5 minutes where they were talking about martial arts or whatever. And I was like, I can't do it because I just find him imminently not like he upsets my earballs. You know what I mean? I can't, it's very, very difficult. And so I feel like he has no chance. He's the like Ron DeSantis of 2028, where everyone thought this is the guy who if anyone can unseat Trump or whatever, it's like Ron DeSantis. And that just, never came to pass.
Yeah, I think was it the lifts in his shoes that did it for Ron DeSantis? What was it?
He's just so unlikable.
He's a robot.
Like the more you got to know him,
just
that's right.
You liked him.
Yeah.
But I do like, Negin, you gave us a new nickname for JD Vance, which is great. JD No Chance Vance.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
That's
yes.
perfect.
No Chance Vance.
That's what we call him now.
Well, that's it.
But by the way, I was going to say, if Ron DeSantis was a fun, lovely guy and wore lifts, you would spin it to being like how cute he wears lifts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's nice. He's nice.
Just a nice guy.
He's got lifts. All right. Thank you. That was a mildly traumatizing JD Vance segment.
If you think that's bad, try the whole 3-hour show.
I know.
Good Lord, the manosphere, everybody.
Oh, God. I wonder what the numbers were like for that Joe Rogan episode.
Millions.
Probably low. That's actually probably a great indicator on his popularity is how many downloads did that one episode get, because he's boring.
Oh, yeah. He's extremely boring. 3 hours of him? I mean, Joe Rogan probably took a bunch of Alpha Brain before that one. Snorted some creatine. All right. Negin Farsad, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. This was so much fun. And to the Fake the Nation listeners, thank you for letting us invade your feed, but with consent. With consent. It wasn't an invasion. It was a consensual collaboration.
It's not a war.
It's not a war.
It's
It's a collaboration. Not
It's
a conflict.
conversation.
Yeah. All right, so make sure you sign up for all the good things, our newsletter, find us online, rate us, and subscribe to us as well. For Travis Irvine, I'm Seena Ghaznavi for Negin Farsad. Thank you. We'll see you next time.